and the general interest generally on the national mood, which tells me that the general public are looking forward to the NDC doing its things properly and on their way to their Flagstaff House. What is happening is that we have scheduled the vetting into 3 days, and we are, according to our program, we are vetting constituency after constituency. We are not vetting individuals per se, we are vetting according to constituency. John Dumelo and Nyama are likely to face the committee today, and barring any instructions from the party headquarters, they are going to be vetted today.
And I see the key thing here for the public is that this has been postponed twice, and they smell a rat. Should they be?
There's no rat or a rotting elephant. What is happening is that we scheduled the program. Let the public get to know that we scheduled the program into 3 phases. And I told you, John Dumelo is likely to be vetted today, barring any instructions from the party headquarters. Sometimes people send petitions to the General Secretary, and they need to be investigated at that top level before it comes to the vetting committee. So if, for example, the General Secretary or the National Chairman receives a petition, they process it at that level. I'm not too sure. I have been informed that Dumelo or whatever, Nyama, has any problem hanging on their head. And then we have vetted so many very contentious constituencies like Adance again, the rest, so we are ready for them.
This is the second time you're saying barring any last minute, stuff. You are a lawyer. When lawyers start speaking like that, it means that there's something inside the bag. Is there really anything inside the bag?
Particularly about anybody. I'm saying that sometimes you'll be there. Odododo, for instance. Odododo, there's a hold on it because there are some problems there. Not only Odododo, I think a couple of constituencies. And I'm saying that I use the barren because between now and I'm on my way to the committee meeting. So if I go and there's a petition on my table that this constituency should not be vetted because of this and that, we'll look at it and give it our own solution. So don't worry. The public should relax. We are very much on top of what we are doing. And then, Johnny, you know me that I will not condescend to illegalities, or I will not support any individual. Johnny, you know me. I'm prepared, and I'm on my policy. Our policy is that we have to clean the swamp. NDC want to come out with credible, respectful, and then winnable candidate. And then so that we can give this country a parliament that is to be depended upon. That's our mission.
The quality of people who have come before you so far, would you say that's the kind of quality the NDC hopes to take into election 2024?
Johnny, I am telling you that I have been overwhelmed by the kind of people that have presented themselves for vetting, ranging from lawyers, doctors, engineers, artisans, and all walks of life. And the quality is just too tough, good, top-notch quality that I have vetted. The people I have vetted are top-notch for the Greater Accra.
I see. And you are sure that the MPP counterparts will have a tough time running with them in the various constituencies?
In the first place, the MPP has to find why they should even contest the 2024 elections. They should find themselves. They should ask themselves why. Did they have any reason to contest the 2024 elections? After crashing the economy, all right, after giving us such people as a mediocre government, what is their basis for coming to power? I've been listening to you every day, Johnny, And the things that you have been saying and saying, if we have listened, this country will not be where we are today. Listen to a regional minister. Your own party people come to you complaining that, look, we have not been paid for some time. We have crediting food items to feed the children on 93 pesos a day. Then you look at the regional minister, he comes out and snub his own people. That's the type of attitude that has characterized the MPP. You understand? So I am asking, on what basis would the MPP even decide to contest the 2024 election? What are they going to tell Ghanaians? They should rather apologize to Ghanaians and then pack themselves and go for somewhere.
There's a concern that a lot of new faces are coming in to contest for the parliamentary candidateship of on the ticket of the NDC, and that may not inure to the benefit of the party, given the fact that people who may not have had parliamentary experience and institutional memory may be facing their counterparts on the side of the MPP who would bring to the table those traits and
we have
experience.
NDC has shown the capacity to bring new faces and then do better. Look at Sam George, look at Okudzeto Blakwa, and look at the galaxy of people we are talking about. Nobody is born with a parliamentary qualification. You understand? And I'm saying that if I've vetted a lawyer of about 20 years standing and he's going to parliament, what is he going to lack? Nobody will blackmail us with a parliamentary experience or like the MPP is doing. Nobody is going to blackmail us. You see, the NDC is a dynamic party and it's a regenerative party. As the older ones fade, new ones come up. And I am encouraged that at my age, I'm seeing younger people in my own constituency in Dansoma. Yesterday, we vetted a 30-year-old young boy. I'm a young man, 30, and listen to him. Listen to his program. Listen to his style. He says, I am going to use a digital platform to get my people, and I'll get this from the church, I'll get this number from... And it was interesting. These are the people we are going to bring to Ghanaians. Johnny, these are the quality of people we are going to bring to Ghanaians. Nobody is going to be voted there because his father was a Dankwa or Bujia follower. Nobody's going to do that in NDC. Nobody's going to vote anybody because it's a John Rawlings' daughter or son. No. As a matter is being contested. You understand? In NDC, people contest elections on their own merit. Nobody's going to say that I come from Dankwa family, I come from... It's not the time of Dombo. When Dombo was alive, where were you? What traits have you gathered from Dombo? In fact, Dombo himself, what did he do for Ghana? So we know what we are about. The NDC will give Ghana the best materials for parliament, and even if they are too new, we have a program to train them. At least we have our experienced MPs who would guide our young MPs. But the people that we are bringing on board, Johnny, mark my words, they will shock the MPP.
Disqualifications, they've also come up. And people are not too excited that their candidates, some have been disqualified. If you go to Medina, for example, the gentleman who stood with Sosu and a few others, they are raising concerns.
With the Medina case, let me explain what happened.
Right.
We have information that the young man that was contesting was the former general secretary of another political party. And he had not resigned as of the time he was appearing before the committee. I, Sampi Yale, took the trouble and said, let me go through the documents legally. So I went through the process. When the young man appeared before me, he was very relaxed. So I put it to him that, look, have you ever been a secretary to the UFP? He said no. But it was a temporary something. I said, okay, fine. I put a letter from the Electoral Commission, which showed that he had written to the Electoral Commission requesting for information under the
UFP,
letterhead of the UFP, and he had signed as the Secretary General. Then he conceded. I called the leader of UFP and put it on speaker, Gataba. He put it on speaker, and I questioned him, I cross-examined him, and he accepted that young man was the secretary, and he has not resigned. Besides, he had written in somewhere that he had been an aide or something to the Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Barbin.
Right.
When, Right Honorable Barbin, when he was, as it were, minority leader. Right Honorable Speaker wrote minutes on the letter that man has never been, because at that time, when he was a minority leader, that office of remedial liaison did not exist. In the Speaker's handwriting, and even discuss the young man as a character. So, based on this and other information, I said, no. Do you think that you are qualified to contest? Then he said, and the NDC has betrayed me. I've been a member. Then we said, how long have you been a member of the NDC? What's your card? You know, I don't want to go into the other details,
right.
But as the man was leaving, I am sure that he was himself satisfied that he did not qualify to contest on the ticket of the NDC.
Do you sense that the other political parties are trying to infiltrate your ranks?
Oh, any smart political party will try to do that, but we have the capacity to resist it. We have the capacity to resist it.
Capacity to resist.
Yeah, sure. And then to weed them out. You understand? Today, a couple of them are appearing, and who we have brackets around their names. When they come, we'll give them the fair hearing and also ask them the rightful question for them to answer, so that we elicit their loyalty to the party.
How many people will appear before the committee today as you get ready to wrap up your work?
The number I cannot tell, but about 11 constituencies are appearing today.
Right.
Johnny, we have been closing midnight. Yesterday, I came home 1 a.m. Yeah, 1 a.m. We start at 9 a.m. and come at 1 a.m. Today, I'm going to miss my appointment with a doctor because I have to be there. It's a critical day today. You know, for all the interest you have shown, the committee cannot afford to say Mr. Yale was not. I'll be there. I will be there.
As for that, I will come and say it too.
I know you will say it, Johnny, but I'm the mousetrap of the committee. If you don't pass the questions, you are not going anywhere. You know, but Johnny, rest assured that we will bring into Parliament quality MPs for the Greater Accra.
I thank you very much for your time this morning, Ambassador Sampi Ale. Grateful.
Yes. So I'm sorry I couldn't come to the studio at that time, but I promise I will certainly come to the studio.
That's fine. We're most grateful. Thank you very much. 6 News has taken notice of this promise, and Asoriba as well. Grateful. That's Ambassador Sampi Ale. He is the lawyer on the NDC's vetting committee. John Dumelo and his colleague in the arts, Fred Nyama, are supposed to appear before the committee this morning. William says they have the capacity to identify and to...
As for party loyalty, can only express fundamentally through registration, your card, and the kind of work that you do for the party and your commitments. And it's a whole ballpark. So we're just seeing going forward. If they pass the vetting, it doesn't stop there. So, if
there's more work to be done.
If they have the capacity, maybe what is on paper will ensure that nobody who is not a registered member of the party will pass through. But going forward, the individual will be assessed by his commitments, contribution. The time he's coming home at 1 a.m.
1 a.m.
That's commitment for me.
Right.
And that's loyalty for me. So these are some of the things that I would look out for. As for presenting the card, anybody can just go.
You can just go and get the card and keep on 4 years and come and present it.
Exactly, 4 years. So
4 years.
The commitment, party loyalty is very important. I mean, if you belong to a political party, you need to be loyal to the party.
But it does appear that there's a mad rush for NDC parliamentary candidateship in this election. On the average, I look at the constituencies and you have between 6 and 9.
Yeah, but
6 to 9 people on the average. That's the average figure you have.
My observation is that after every 8 years of a sitting government, of a sitting president, if he's able to make the 8 years, that has happened over at the Fourth Republic, except in the case of Mr. Mahama. It's almost like that, because then the 8 years ends and the party in power, if they haven't done well, they become unattractive. And as it is now, the ruling government has a lot of issues. So a lot of people, young people who are going to politics for the first time, or who want to go to parliament for the first time and want to be belonging to a certain party, would opt for the NDC because.
But is the NDC attractive in itself?
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
presently,
yeah. When you stand out and look, I mean, what is happening?
You're doing some mapping.
You know what I mean? So it's obvious that a lot of young people would go to a party that they think they can win the election. But you see, sometimes elections are on the ground.
Exactly.
Not in pictures.
At the polling station.
Yes. So politics as it is, numbers game, risky. You take the risk, you go to NDC, they win, you are there. If they lose, you still have to be committed, as the speaker said. So at the end of the day, if you are going there, it's because they think that the NDC is more attractive.
Right.
At this time. Yeah.
Okay, we will guide a political scientist to find out why people are now interested in, these seats at this point. And you heard, Ambassador, the caliber of people who are putting themselves up. I mean, if you look on their side of the NDC now, Titus Bayo of the Ghana Medical Association, Richard Kumadu, security and fraud analyst. You have about 7 or 8 medical doctors. You have lawyers, you have engineers, you have bankers. These are the upper middle class people getting in there. It's no longer, let's leave it for the regular party foot soldier to see if they are able to, get it or not. And that's where, for me, quality comes into the conversation. How do we translate the quality of these people putting themselves up for parliamentary candidateship? How do we translate that into what transpires in Parliament and by effect what happens in the lives of their constituents? That is always a conundrum, because you have somebody with a beautiful CV comes up there, and the next point you are not able to really put a finger on whether or not they were able to deliver the public good as is expected of them as politicians.
Yeah, over the years, if the records I have are what they are in terms of the professions that get into parliament, teachers and lawyers have gotten in there more.
Yes, true.
Because the teachers are at home with the constituents, and so when they stand for elections, they usually will win.
And lawyers are prestigious.
And the lawyers stand out because they understand the parliamentary processes. Right. They go in there and they're able to deliver, and lawyers have a certain, acumen in terms of translation of their knowledge to how the governance system works. So if medical doctors, journalists, and our own Baba Sadiq is going, John Dumelo is coming. And so at the end of the day, if we have other professions coming into politics and they are getting into parliament, and of course it will encourage and if you like engender the kind of quality that we all are expecting. So if you ask me, it's a good thing. And the way our parliamentary democracy is growing, or if you like, the parliament itself is growing. Look at the numbers we had in the last election. Almost 137,
That's
with
right.
one sitting at the top.
That's right.
Which means that the competition is getting tighter. So if you don't get people who have a certain quality and they get there. Johnny, the number of pages of documents that sits on the tables of MPs,
the pigeonhole
for them
stories
to read before they come and vote, is not a joke.
Yeah.
So if you go there and you don't understand these things, you just not.
Especially when you have to
remain at the back bench for a long time.
Let's go on the phone line now and speak with Dr. Kobe Mensah. He's a political marketing guru and is also a teacher and a lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. Pump up. Good morning.
Pump up. Good morning.
How are you doing,
Danny,
sir?
how are you? Very well, thank you. Good to hear your voice again.
Good to hear you. I'm greater than Accra. This morning, we're having a quick conversation about the caliber of people who are putting themselves up for parliamentary candidateship, both on the side of the NDC and on the NPP. Well, we do not know publicly most who have come out on the side of the NPP, but for the NDC, we know the likes of John Dumelo, the likes of security analyst Richard Kumadu, the likes of Baba Sadiq, the likes of Fred Nyama. You have, so many of Titus Bayo and the rest. Is it shocking to you?
No, it's not. I mean, over the period, we know that at some point there will be a preponderance of young people, stepping into the race. In fact, we expect that there will be much more younger, people than, those you have mentioned. Obviously, those you have mentioned, some of them are in their late 30s, the early 40s.
Right.
But we expect that far more younger people would step into the race, especially because of, social media and what it, kind of offers in terms of, developing the competencies of the young people, exposing them to, political issues, etc. Now, I particularly make a comment about those days in the, second 90s and early 2000s, when, our political system was open up. You realize that the kind of media, which is the traditional media, wasn't something that was young person friendly. How many people could walk to GBC and say that I want to be part of a political discourse? You couldn't actually say that. And even when maybe there had been, a speech or a rally by a political candidate, it can only be shown by the TV station. You couldn't even request for the footage if you feel that there was a certain statement that was not correct or somebody has actually changed their position from the past. Now, with social media, obviously these information are actually coming out. There is what we call anniversary, where what you have said in the past will pop up, and people would know that you have backtracked or you have actually sort of changed your position or you have flip-flopped, etc. Now, these things give young people the opportunity to question authority and to see that, in fact, they are indeed even better off than what those who are actually within the political plane in terms of their expertise, in terms of their competencies, etc. And so when they see that, it fires them up. So we should be prepared for an avalanche of young people stepping into the political system. One of the things that has actually sort of pushed them back, it's the idea that Constitution says you have to be 40 years, etc. before.
Right.
Otherwise, people would have been jumping into the fray long ago. So there was a perception that you have to be an old person, so to speak, to be in politics. But I think that perception is gradually waning because of the modern trends, and that we've also seen quite young people in other countries, European countries especially, taking up political appointments. In fact, some becoming president at the age of 32, 33, etc. So all these are influences that are actually getting into the young people and then making them feel competent and ready to serve within the political system.
At the bottom line is whether or not these candidates are marketable beyond their political parties to the general populace, or if you like, the voting public. Do you see these ones who have put themselves up as the go-to people in terms of political marketing management?
Absolutely, Johnny. I think that the problem that we've had is that there had been narratives that had not been suitable for young people, especially some of them from cultural perspective. Some sayings that, say, Jimmy Batakwalahu, that kind of word. All right, sayings like that.
Right.
And then the idea that a young person has an umbobra, that kind of thing. But I don't think that's the argument. For those who would think that umbobra, if you look at their behavior, their conduct, their output, completely abysmal. Now, let me give you this kind of scenario. Why is it that somebody who is manning a very small secretariat, at the age of 60, they say you are tired, go home and rest. Yet we are prepared to give a whole country with this rigorousness to someone who is 70 years to go around and to be campaigning and to manage an economy as big as Ghana. Yet a small place that you are manning at the age of 60, they say you are tired. It doesn't make sense, all right? Which means that leadership actually, in terms of politics, political leadership, actually requires energetic people who can really manage the situation. So for me, I think they are very marketable. Only that we have created a certain narrative, certain perception that if you're a young person, you can't manage your life. But we see gradually that young people are managing bigger corporations, far richer than even the country Ghana, for example. So I think that we should start changing our perception about young people, their capabilities, their innovativeness. If we do, then the marketability that we are talking about is already there, and they would be amazing in terms of how they will handle themselves in political systems.
The totality of the strengths of these individuals, their skills and talents, abilities, and what have you, will be the general reflection that the people, the electorates, get of the political parties that they represent. Is it your view that political parties have decided to have been able to harness this potential well to their advantage? Is it your view?
I think that political parties, to be fair, have not been developmental enough. I mean, remember that they are the recruiting grounds for leadership, national leadership. I think that they probably would want to kind of strengthen their structures and make it much more young people friendly, so that they could actually convert the raw talent, the raw expertise of the political, of these young people into a much more fine-tuned political skill. Because you need a very, in-depth understanding of ideological positions and how they represent in terms of the offering of public services, for example. Some of these things, it probably could take young people some time to actually, get it fine-tuned in that line. But that requires structures like, training by the political institutions, the political parties, requires much more socialization so that people could understand that, yes, if you belong to the left or the right, this is how, your views, your world views, this is how your perception, your beliefs must align with. And when they do that, perhaps they could find much more brilliant talents that they can nurture, that they can groom to fit their ideological position going forward.
And again, the question of party paraphernalia, campaigns, speaking to people, holding the talks, the town hall meetings, focus group discussions, and all of that, just to win a seat and represent the people. It comes with a lot of financial constraints, and then the general outlook of what the campaign is often sways people to either decide to vote for candidate A or B. It puts some strain on these candidates, doesn't it?
It does, but it also comes with a lot of creativity. I'm sure you are aware of what we have been doing at GIJ in terms of the
political communication, right?
In the political communication simulation. You would marvel the extent of creativity that these students actually put forward. Now, most of them have actually done these by themselves. It speaks to you that yes, it takes resources, but it takes resources like skills, like creativity, for people to know that you need money to do it. And who are those people who can do these things better? The young people. Because a lot of them are very easy at creating some of these things that are appealing to the eye, that make sense, for example. So for me, I think that the issue of resources, we have made it resources in terms of money, but we're talking about resources in terms of time, in terms of creativity, in terms of mobilization strength, which these young people have. So we have to open up, the space, change our thinking about the role of the young people in political system. And if we do, we will see a lot more productivity coming out than what we're experiencing now. Because look, when people are at the tail end of their ages, of their lives, and certain ambitions haven't been achieved, that's where we see our resources dissipating, because they feel that they don't have enough time, and so they want to rake in a lot more before they go. So the more older people we find in our political system, the more corruption it is. I can be blunt about it, but that's the truth, because people haven't achieved what they have set out to do. They get opportunity at the top quartile of their ages, and then they want to actually unleash all their ambitions at that top end. But if you give somebody, a young person, the opportunity, they know that they have a lot of times, a lot of years ahead of them. They know that obviously they can be summoned, they can be, challenged, by their own groups, by other folks, and they know that, there are consequences. Someone who is at the end quartile of their lives, what do they fear? They fear nothing, So I think that we have to open up the conversation. We have to open up our minds and our thinking about what these young people can do.
Have political parties leveraged very well on new media?
They haven't at all. They're trying to do things, but because they haven't given the young people the opportunity, because if you go to political parties, even those who are managing social media, like come on Facebook, you find that the one who is in charge is an older person. I mean, how do you really give an older person at the age of 50, 60, or even 45 the responsibility to manage, Facebook, as opposed to a young person who is about 22, 21, 25? They can manage it better. But we have actually, we think that young people are not responsible, and so we're still having the structure, creating the structure, and putting it in the hands of older folks. It doesn't make sense. They should allow these young people to even if to experiment, so be it, so that they can develop the competencies from the start. They haven't utilized, new media. I mean, how many politicians have you seen using Twitter Space, for example? But that's a fantastic, platform. Up to now, I haven't seen any candidate using Twitter Space.
Right.
But we see young people organizing Twitter Space, and you see bunch of people listening to it. I was expecting to see one of the candidates, use Twitter Space, at least to reach out to young people. They are always on TV. Doing what? They are always on radio. Doing what? When young people who you're targeting are actually on Twitter Space. How many politicians have you seen them competently using TikTok? But I can tell you, BBC is on TikTok. They have huge following on TikTok. They are on CNN. BBC is on Instagram. They have huge following. And when you go and check the comments on there, the young people are not just watching what BBC is putting on LinkedIn, but they are commenting, they are engaging. Why aren't our politicians using Instagram effectively? Because they are managed by older folks who don't know how to even manage some of these things. So my point is that new media, not existent, because they're only creating the structures and not making a good use of it in terms of targeting the actual people. Even if you go and check their posts on Instagram, for example, the kind of content there doesn't fit the platform, because they are putting the usual photos that they will put on websites. But that's not how you use Instagram. That's not how you use, LinkedIn. That's not how you use TikTok, for example. So, yes, they haven't really, made use of the new media as they're supposed to, because quite a lot of channels are new media. The politicians haven't used it.
And now, William has a question for you, but I'll ask you this. Don't you think that the requirements in the Constitution to becoming a member of parliament, which says that you have to be of a certain age, must have lived in the constituency of an aggregate of 5 years or 5 years continuously, and then you must be of sound mind, finish. Don't you think that these requirements, which are not hard-hitting enough, is what perhaps is getting everybody to be interested in becoming a member of parliament?
How hard-hitting do you want it to be? I mean,
Parliament works in committees, so a basic qualification, for example, could come in handy. If you go for local level elections, district assembly elections, your highest level of education is sought of you as a member of, as an assemblyman, as a unit committee member. We don't get that even from members of parliament, nor even from the presidency, if you ask me.
But Johnny, have we evaluated, the current requirement and what it had actually produced? Have we evaluated and see whether it's even, efficient and effective in what we seek to actually gain? Since the Constitution was put forward, we haven't evaluated any of them. Of the requirements. The person must be 40 years as a president. We're getting presidents who are 60, 70, 80, even least is 65 or 50-something. I'm not sure we have had 50-something years as a president.
No, not 50.
Now, yeah, exactly. What are the outputs? It's shocking. I don't think that the output we're getting is anywhere close to what we intended, the Constitution to produce us. So it's time for us to review it. It's time for us to evaluate it, if not even from a proper legalistic perspective. Just a common exercise of let's look at the ages of our presidents and then whether they are actually giving us the best of their output. Look at Nkrumah's age at the time. Look at what he did. Look at those people. Sometimes you read and you get to know that a certain person those years was at the age of 35, 25, and they did amazing stuff. We're getting people at the age of 60 and we're getting rubbish. to be honest. Sorry about my language. So I think that we want to really be circumspect and then subject these things into interrogation or under some sort of scrutiny. And then let's come to a conclusion. Because if Nkrumah could do all that he did, yet he was almost within his early years, in terms of, I think 50-something thereabout, or even getting to 60. And we're not getting far older people, and then we're not getting anything. Of course, subject to other conditions. I'm not saying that only that, but subject to other conditions. You realize that we are not getting what we probably should do. So I think that we should review some of these and look. There are young people who are doing amazing stuff.
Right.
All right. I don't think that it takes heaven to manage a country. I think that we should change the narrative. I think that we should probably put in much more reflective, mechanisms that reflect the 21st century, world. And then allow people to contest. We have actually been too fixated on the older folks, and it hasn't actually yielded anything.
William has a question for you, Doc.
Doc, Good morning. This is William.
Good morning. Hi, William.
Yes, I've been wondering how we are still sticking to posters, these political campaign posters, and how they deface our cities, if you like, our communities. What can we do to stop that? Because I don't know. I mean, with all the digitization coming
Exactly. And William, I think this is part of the conversation that we're talking about. Have we subjected it to the scrutiny? That is it effective? Have they lost their relevance? Meanwhile, we get these political parties every day producing these things, even at the point where AMA has directives that after campaign within a certain period, some of these things must be removed. We have an EC who is so fixated on registration and on voting without the rest of the regulations. We keep doing these things, but we haven't evaluated them. I mean, we've done studies on effectiveness of political campaign content, etc. But we can only do it as an academic exercise. And the politicians will not even read it. All right? They will not read it. They will not even listen to it. They will not even call you for training. They will not call you for consultancy to tell them that, yes, this is effective, this is not effective. But we keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. All right? So I think that we need a proper scrutiny of our structures, political structures, from campaigning perspectives to selection of candidates, etc., to the regulation of the election. Currently, as we speak, we have a law that says that you cannot campaign within a certain period until EC actually opens up.
That's
I think it's a normative one. All right, 3 months to election. It's a normative one.
That's right.
All right. Yet every day we see people campaigning on social media. Where are the laws that actually say that we have updated, our system, and we've said that now it extends to the governance of social media or governance of political campaigning on social media? The EC is sitting there. They're always gerrymandering, and they're thinking about how to skew election into a particular place. There is no attempt to update our structures to reflect modern times. They're always thinking about how to mafia somebody for somebody to come to power. Very sad. So yes, the issue about the posters and the AMA regulations about campaign materials not to be around after some period. How are we enforcing those laws? We see political billboards, political posters littered everywhere. In fact, sometimes they go and even paste it on somebody's poster, maybe a church poster, and then the political party go and put it there. What are the laws? Where are the laws that actually regulate these things? The EC must be interested. The AMA officials must be interested, but they're not. They don't feel bothered about it.
Mr. K.T. Hammond may disagree with your strong point for the young people. You have said consistently that give the young people a chance and they will dazzle with brilliance. He, however, thinks that, look, if you leave it for the young people alone, they cannot do it because they have coconut heads, if you will. What do you say?
Well, those other folks who have orange heads, what have they produced to Ghanaians? It's disheartening for you to think that young people have coconut heads, but you have a fine round head. But we haven't seen any result. Why are they people coconut heads? Because other folks have failed to produce. They have failed to provide the enabling environment that they can function properly. as we speak, we have quite a lot of young people, brilliant, but nowhere to go, no aspirations. Nobody is telling them that you can take A or B. I mean, if Katie Hammond and co. were not properly prepared, I mean, during Nkrumah's era, which they boldly, gladly talk about the good old days, etc. You are bold to talk about the good old days, how Nkrumah prepared the system for you to make gains and for you to become an MP now. What are you doing? Now you have a government agency supposed to give, scholarship to young people, especially for education.
Right.
I'm talking about what's the name?
Scholarship Secretariat.
The scholarship, the other one, the current one.
You start.
The scholarship secretary, but the name that was given, what's the name?
What have I forgotten?
It escaped me.
Right, me too.
The Get Fund.
Get Fund, that's right. Get Fund.
The Get Fund. Yeah, when we talk about education and scholarship, mostly what comes to your mind is young people because they are the ones at the education age, for example. Now, go to Get Fund and see how many MPs have accessed that money for themselves. It baffles me. You are an MP. It means that you have gotten a certain minimum level of education that actually qualifies you to be effective and to be earning something to the point that you've gotten to Parliament. And you are assessing the same money for the young people, for your Harvard education, for your Penn State education. And then they boldly come and sit on TV, radio and social media and say, hey, hooray, thank God, I just graduated from Harvard. With whose money? The money that is supposed to go to these young people with coconut heads so that their heads will no longer be coconut. You are using it for your Harvard education. And you are proudly saying it on social media. We have to interrogate some of these, sorry to use some kind of language, but we have to interrogate some of these things. They are really not acceptable because the funds are supposed to upgrade, to help these young people to become the kind of leaders we want. But it will not go to them. MPs are accessing these funds for their education abroad. What do you need again when you're an MP? Why do you have to go for a Harvard MBA? Why do you have to go for an Oxford MBA? Because you have access to it. We need to be serious and question some of this because if we don't do it, people are going to be angry. And at some point, we cannot contain it. We have to question it. They should be ashamed for demonstrating some of these things online when we know that they didn't pay for themselves, but they access state funds that are supposed to be given to these young people to get them trained. You are an MP, you have access, you have control. Because of that, you are using it, and then you are flamboyantly displaying it that you just graduated for. So who paid for that money? That's school fees.
Dr. Kobe-Mensah, I thank you very much indeed for allowing us to drink deep into your well of wisdom this morning. We're grateful.
Thank you, Johnny, and thank you guys for having me.
Grateful. Dr. Kobe-Mensah is with the University of Ghana Business School and also my own GIJs. 25 minutes after 80 on 3FM 92.7. A lot of young people are getting into politics, getting themselves ready to get into Parliament. We'll get into some political science and then get into the fray of the New Patriotic Party, because we do know that the New Patriotic Party has also issued a caveat to say that some seats will be protected. Literally, MMDCs are not allowed to contest sitting MPs during the party's upcoming primaries. It's been criticized by governance watchers. Will the party budge? Will they bow? Will they yield to the thoughts of the people? What do you think? Hashtag is 3FM Sunrise. Hashtag is 3FM Sunrise. Join us. But if you need money to start a business, if you need money to expand your business, if you're a government or private sector worker in need of money to sort out emergencies, do you need a working capital or you are in need of an emergency loan? Quick Credit will loan you money so you can repay in flexible terms. It's collateral free with no Susu savings, account opening, nor deposit wahala. Just need a Ghana card and you have to be a Ghanaian. Quick Credit covers all forms of loans, so you have no excuse not to work this year and beyond. Call Quick Credit on 0302 200 390. That's 0302 200 390 or 059 692 0833. That's 059 692 0833. Take note that they do not give loans via the internet, so beware of scammers. And they are regulated by the Bank of Ghana and licensed by the Bank of Ghana as well. Terms and conditions apply. Quick Credit lending made simple. And we're excited here at TV3 to tell you about the Power of Three campaign. The campaign aims to bring smiles on the faces of inmates of the Senior Correctional Center in Roman Ridge as we get ready to celebrate Easter on Monday, April 10, 2023, Easter Monday. We're using the Power of Three. We kindly entreat you to support this cause by donating any amount with figures with 3 in it. Yeah, any figure, any amount with a figure 3 in it. The Power of Three campaign is to seek your support, raise funds for the upkeep of inmates, contribute to refurbishment of the clinic on site at the Senior Correctional Center, and renew a sense of hope in the inmates during this Easter season of love, a season of giving, a season of sacrifice. So please send your donations, please. Let's do it together. Please pick up your phone now. 059 7433 110. That's 059 7433 110. No, William, we have to do this together. Let's pick up our phone now. 055. So star 170 hash. Yeah, William, you don't have your phone. Your phone is not here. Send him Momo direct. Star 170 hash. Say again.
But if I start punching, what should I'm sending?
Well, I mean, but of course.
I will push evidence.
Yeah. For push evidence, make we see the evidence. So 059 7433 110. 059 7433 110. We'll try and call a few of our good friends.
Yes.
See if they can support us on live. Yeah, and please reference P3. Donation in products can be delivered to 3FM 92.7 at the Sunway Kanda, Accra. Catch all the updates, the Power of Three campaign on the 3FM Drive with Giovanni, Caleb, and Aegis upon from 2 p.m. all the way to 7 p.m. And then on the Sunrise Morning Show at 3FM 92.7, as you do here every weekday, 5:55 a.m. all the way till 10, right down to Ola. Okay. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll have a conversation with a political scientist, and then also we'll get into the New Patriotic Party's contest. Stay with us. We'll be right back. This is Sunrise Morning Show. My name is Johnny Hughes.